emphasize it versus a game that's really designed to be supplemental. I'd be curious to hear what the defining line is between the two for you. Like, at what point does it transition from being like this can sub in for a class versus something that like could be potentially supplementary? Like, would it be better if discovery mode was only accessible for education? Like, you could create a class and have that, but like as an average player, you don't have access to that. Like, I know that's not necessarily the greatest, but would that help? You know, like I know it's like a two-part question.
No, I'm just laughing in my head because I'm going, as a tenured faculty member, I of course am going to support gatekeeping in all of its forms. So yes, it can only be accessed by us and not regular folk. No, but I mean, certainly something like Cyculum, and I can't remember what the name is of the mythology version of the game, it's designed by professors for a very specific purpose, and everything within the game is designed towards that purpose. Now, they also try and make it fun and interesting, and the battles will be kind of bloody and all that sort of thing to keep you interested. So I think that's sort of one of the differences that you see is just the intentionality behind it. I think for me, I certainly use a bunch of things from the Assassin's Creed games in my classes. More often than not, it's just screenshots. But they're screenshots of things that, you know, if I were to try and 3D model them, or if I were to hire an artist to do it, you know, graphically for an article I was writing or something like that, I couldn't afford it, I couldn't do it, and yet they have beautifully, sort of painstakingly reproduced a lot of this stuff. So I at least can kind of pick and choose, and I'll show an occasional short video or something like that, but I've never actually used Discovery Tour in a classroom, and I actually think most of them are kind of problematic. I always laugh whenever, for those of you who've played Assassin's Creed, you know that Ubisoft has a photo mode where you can, you know, take screenshots and upload them and everything else. I love going onto the website and seeing what other people have posted and seeing how different mine is. Because everybody's photos are of them killing somebody, fighting the Minotaur, whatever. I've got close-ups of like ancient clamps on buildings and things, which they've done this incredible job with the minutia of a lot of this stuff, which in some ways makes the sort of overarching issue of the Discovery Tour mode even more frustrating. Yeah?
I wonder if you would find it worthwhile to run the tests differently, and rather than do it as like a retention thing for the actual lessons or the accuracy, to evaluate it on different levels. Like, for example, the different ways that people learn and engage with material. So the aim isn't necessarily to get the facts as they were, but instead to feel like an emotional connection to it. Because I'm thinking about like studying these things in high school, and you can't get excited about the material because you don't have an emotional connection, as you said before with Discovery.
And I think I certainly buy that. I think it would be incredibly valuable to perform those kinds of tests, totally beyond my abilities to do that kind of thing. Because then, well, just because then, no, but then at that point you're designing questionnaires, you're doing all kinds of things that's outside of my field of expertise. There is certainly something. There is certainly something to the notion of engaging people's passions for things. And certainly for a discipline like mine, which is kind of withering on the vine and no one knows about it and dying and whatever, a few of you who have taken classics courses, or you know, Jen or Haley, you know that if nothing else, it's a passion, that you love the material. You may move on to other things or whatever, but that passion stays there. For 99.99% of the students I'm ever going to teach, that's all I care about, is that passion. Because I just want them to enjoy the material. They're not going to go on to do this professionally, or they're going to do other things. But if they can then read these stories to their kids, then the next generation might not miss a lot of these stories and myths and historians and, you know, all this kind of stuff that, you know, the past generation has really missed in school. So I think it's incredibly important. I think it is something that should be done, and I agree. But again, they're allied but separate issues when it comes to like historicity and stuff. So, yeah.
Having played the Discovery Tour, do you see potential ways it could be used, like fixed essentially, to engage more of a critical play, or kind of to teach maybe more critical analytical skills? Because I'm thinking you give an example of like, this is a one scholarly theory of this thing. So if there's like a text
And so some of those text boxes appear, but again, they tend to just present one fact as fact. I think there are ways in which it can be played around and it can be made to be more scholarly. The issue is, how satisfying would that be an experience for most of the people playing the game at home where you want an answer? Where, you know, oh, this is really cool, I find ancient history really interesting, and I want to learn about the pyramids. And you click on it, and up comes this massive dialogue box that says, well, some scholars think this, and some scholars think this, and this is appropriate, and our best information says this, but there is some other information that's just been discovered that says this is a possibility as well. When all you want to know is the answer as a person looking at this kind of stuff. And so that's where, you know, I think one of the things we're maybe dancing around in terms of a lot of the questions is just that personal interface and that sort of individual interaction with something that both is and isn't interactive. And just how does that play out and what's the mediating factors for that? So I think it has possibilities. It's just not there right now. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if then you had something like a virtual tour guide and you could play it as like an online multiplayer game and history profs could just show up and like it's definitely better than Second Life and we've seen like profs use that crap for their lectures. Yeah. So like wouldn't that be nice to just kind of go in there and be able to do that? Is that something that
it would, but I don't think mocap suits are very slimming. So I don't know.
I'm not talking
no.
Take a representation of a tour guide, you play that tour guide and your voice and stuff would come through and then people that actually would want to learn about would have a way more immersive experience than reading through all these stuff.
I think you could, and I also don't think it has to be an either or. You can probably come up with a kind of multi-staged aspect so that in one instance maybe you are just giving a one answer. It's a virtual tour guide that says, here's what it is. If you find that interesting, you can click on a more information available, and then maybe something more scholarly, educational comes up, or something like that. But I think that would certainly be a really good idea if they were to get a multiplicity of individuals and experts and that kind of thing, sort of descending on it. Now, we all know academics well enough to know that we're probably the last people you want involved in various commercial exercises, because we're just going to sit there forever and go, but that's wrong, no, fix that. And not going to then ultimately make a boring game. But I think that's a really cool idea in terms of looking at that.
Something that might be like along those lines, but whether you or perhaps one of your colleagues to do it, potentially you could do, if not a Twitch live stream, you could do like a recorded video where you do take the tour using discovery mode with voiceover. The bonus of it being a live stream is that theoretically people could ask questions, right? And you could stop and do it kind of like a virtual class 390. But in that space.
Well, given that our own Dean of Arts is an expert on Cleopatra, we should probably get her to do it, because I'm sure she's got so much time.
You said they record the gameplay for her.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of things we'd have to pre-record for her from that perspective.
Yeah, but it's something that, like, as a bridge, right? That, especially because for those who don't know, Classics does Class 390 every couple of years, where you literally go for 3 weeks to these sites and have lectures on site, which, as a slightly more affordable version, to work with these worlds that already exist, right? That is something that might be a possibility, which spins me into what future do you see for classics to potentially
None. End of question.
I disagree, but like with this kind of thing, right? Like there's a future with it, I think, for those like you who are willing to like go into
I think, I mean, anybody who's going to put their, I have so many things going through my head right now that are all inside jokes to classics professors. But anybody who's going to put their head in the sand and pretend that the universe doesn't exist, as classics professors have done for 3,000 years, is in trouble when it comes to technology and seeing what you can do with it and how you can do with it. Certainly, I think people like myself who study material culture and visual culture are more able to look into these things and adapt to them, because we're already thinking about the visual and the landscapes and temples and all that kind of stuff. Traditional classicists who are trying to read ancient Greek and Latin texts, things might be a little bit more challenging there, but I still think you can find innovative ways to incorporate that kind of a thing into whatever it is that you're doing with this stuff. So I honestly, I've never been a huge fan that suggests technology will necessarily kill or save something. It's a tool, it's a vehicle. It depends on how you use it and whether you're going to ignore it or that kind of thing. So I don't think this will be a savior of classics and the humanities. Yeah, and I'm probably at a stage in my life where you shouldn't be asking me those questions, because I'm pretty much just, humanities are doomed anyway. Just enjoy it while you can. And so, yeah.
That's why you connect here.
Yeah. No. No.
For the sake of time, I think that we should say thank you. Unless you want to add in like a 5-second uplifting thing to spin off of the humanities or do nothing.
No, because that would just be false. And it wouldn't be true to myself.
Well, remember the excellent.
It's like if you're falling off a cliff, you know you're going to die, but you might as well just enjoy the flying sensation.
I'll take
So the
it.
humanities are dead, but just enjoy it while you can.
You know what? I'll take it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was great. Thanks.
For coming.